Are you interested in understanding why the greater Statesville area is the perfect destination for bicycling or how you can get involved in bicycling in the Statesville, North Carolina area? Then today's episode is for you.
Welcome to Discover Statesville, the show that takes you on a captivating journey through the heart of one of North Carolina's most charming towns.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Discover Statesville. We're so excited to be here today. I'm Cindy.
I'm Richard.
I'm here with my co-host, Richard. And we hope that you are tuning in today because you've already watched the first 2 episodes and you were loving the information that we're uncovering from the hidden gems we have here in Statesville. So we're very excited today to welcome Wes Davidson.
Thank you.
Welcome. Who is the owner of First Flight Bicycles here in Statesville, North Carolina.
That's me.
So welcome, Wes. So we have a great environment for biking, and we really wanted to, and Wes is very involved in biking in the greater Statesville area. We wanted to have him on today to talk about that. So I think, Wes, we should start out by, I think everyone would be very interested in knowing how you got into the biking business. How does one determine that they want to own a bike shop? So tell us about that.
I have a long storied career. I started as a very young lad while in high school. Decided I did not like working in the restaurant that I worked in, and bless those people that do work in restaurants. But with that, I just said, hey, I like riding my bike. Maybe the bike shop has some work that they need done. It was close to Christmas, and that was 1997. Wow. Fast forward to today, I'm now owner of a bike shop.
So you just showed up one day and said, hey, you have a job for me? And the owner was like, yeah, I need some help, and was blessed to find you, right?
Yeah, Jeff Archer, that was the owner at the time, founded First Flight Bicycles back in 1989. With that, I walked in one day and I just said, yeah, flat out, are you accepting applications? And he was like, yeah, bring me something. And it started out as, I think, 2 days, Tuesdays and Thursdays after school. From there, it grew. And before I was out of high school, I was working over 30 days or 30 hours a week. Did multiple years at Mitchell, have a degree from Mitchell and computer programming, and realized that was not for me, and bikes were going to be my life.
Now, did you start out just working on the retail floor or on like maintenance and mechanics?
I learned both of them. Mm-hmm. One thing about Jeff was that he was very proficient in both. He was a fantastic mechanic, taught me a lot of all the mechanics, and really inspired me to learn on my own. So from there, I did all that, and just from the nature of a small business, sometimes you just have to do everything. And from there, just learning retail, learning my path and my ways and how to greet and understand customers and the best way to get them to be happy. And
sure.
For me, it's being out on a bicycle. I want others to appreciate and understand that.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about First Flight Bicycles, because it's not just a place where you go buy a bicycle.
Correct. So with the bike shop, well, first and foremost, we also serve alcohol. You gotta have some
Beers
liquid
on tap.
encouragement. Yeah, you gotta have liquid encouragement sometimes, or just a place to relax afterwards. So we really want to be a little bit of that third space as well. With that, you know, we service bikes, we sell bikes, but also we want to just be that hub for all that is bicycles. Make sure that we want to hear about your story as well. We want to know where you're riding, why you're riding, and then we can also filter and make sure that you're finding those places well.
Well, and that probably goes a long way too. And you know, it's a hub where people can come in, and if they got questions about you get so much traffic. You know, you can report on trail conditions in certain areas and things like that, because you got enough people that treat your space as a community hub. Yeah. For the bicycling world.
100%. I learn about new trails all the time from our customer base. People that come in. Once again, that's one of the reasons that we serve alcohol, is that people come in after a ride and we'll ask them where they just went and rode. And they're like, hey, I just found this really cool new trail. And then they're telling us about new restaurants that they went to because they went to this trail. So seeing how that also dives into, you know, tourism and things like that is just really, really interesting to me, just to be able to really sit there and talk to people about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking of diving into tourism, one of the most fascinating things for me, and what you're doing at First Flight Bikes, like I think it truly is unique and amazing. So go back 2-3 years, right? The world kind of shuts down and people looking at going outside. And I had just filled the tourism role, and I was looking for things to talk about for people to go outside. And I'm not quite sure that I remember the steps of how I got. I think I just was in the shop talking to you, and I said, "Hey, Wes, what is this on the wall?" And you described it to me, and it's become a thing, right? We've partnered on this Bike Statesville to let everyone know about all the different avenues there are to Bike Statesville. So we have a screen here that I'd like to put up. This is a wall painted inside First Flight Bicycles here in downtown Statesville, North Carolina. And I'd love for Wes to kind of walk us through what we are looking at and how you came, because you mentioned how it impacts tourism and that people go on a ride and then they also go to a place to eat or visit. And like this encompasses all of that. And it's really cool.
It definitely does. So with that, there's a lot of dots on the map. So each one of those dots represent a place to ride your bike. In the northern part of the county, a lot of those are gravel routes. So gravel riding is a very big segment of cycling right now because you can get out and ride long distances with minimal traffic. You get to go and see places that you just don't ever see. Nobody drives out and wants to go see the countryside and is like, oh, I'm going to go down multiple gravel roads in my car. Right. But there's some just beautiful and amazing places that you can get out into the countryside when you go on the gravel bike.
And these have kind of been vetted, these areas that you're posting. I mean, you're not going to end up on somebody's private property where they come at you with a waving a shotgun and be like, hey.
We found those people. and we keep it
vetting process I was talking about.
Exactly, yeah. We've seen those signs, and we turn around when we do see them. There's some amazing roads that I wish people could ride, but there are some of those folks, and that you don't need that interaction.
Right, sure.
That's really why he has beers on tap for when they get back now.
The decompression period.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So with that, then it gets into different road rides. Beautiful area that we have, a lot of rolling hills, great roads to ride. Most of the routes that we have leave our shop. The routes that we have posted leave from our shop, just that central downtown Statesville area. But I've ridden thousands and thousands of miles a year for multiple years. I know virtually every road in all of Iredell County and the surrounding counties. I can create routes for folks depending on how many miles, whether you want a 5-mile route or whether you want a 200-mile route. I've created them for folks. Wow. So we have a lot of beginner-oriented ones, and then you can explore from there. And a lot of our routes also on the road allow you to, once you learn all those routes, you can then connect them to create bigger areas.
And you do community rides too, like where
do.
they can participate with you and go on a ride.
Yeah. And that's part of that community as well, is just being able to ride together, learning other folks that do ride. And then there's a lot of people that ride together on different days that aren't scheduled rides from our shop, that they've met through our shop rides.
Hey, Richard, I think that bicycling should be an adult program through Recreation and Parks.
But we're up for anything. We're open to any ideas.
We said we'd do everything before we spoke to people. We should have gone.
I've ridden a bike before today.
Well, I've ridden a bike, but I think we need to go on a ride with Wes.
So can we go back to the map real quick?
Yeah.
So the dots you mentioned, and then along the bottom there, that's more detail about the routes that correlate to the dots?
Correct. On the very bottom, we have a QR code system that does take you to each individual route. So there's one of the routes on there is Signal Hill, which is a mountain bike trail here in Statesville. We have a link for that. It shows the map of it. It has a quick description of what kind of trails that you'd find at
So now
Signal
you've got
Hill.
it on your phone that
Correct.
When you're out there, you can reference that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it takes you to that page and shows you exactly the same thing, but also shows you the directions.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a full route when you scan that QR code, and it pulls up on your website, right?
Yes.
So you've built these rides, and then you've built individual pages on your website.
Yeah, and this is just a start. We've added a lot more to it as well, just to keep and expand that. We have more road rides or more road routes than on that map. We have more gravel routes. As we add mountain bike trails or anything like that, we would continue to add those to our system.
Do you know offhand how many? I should have looked that up, but it's mountain biking pathways, gravel, and road. Do you know how many Not that you've built, because I know it's way more, but like on Bike Statesville that we're linking to your website to share with people. How many routes?
So on that, there's 3 gravel routes, 3 pathway routes, which is a greenway, nice, easy family riding, 4 mountain bike trail systems, and 4 road routes.
Okay. And then if you're local and you don't know much about biking and you don't have a bike, First Flight Bikes rents bikes too, right?
We do. We've fortunately been able to, after the pandemic, bring some more inventory back in. We were very low on inventory. We're very fortunate that we sold a lot of bikes during that, but then it was very scarce. So we ran out of all of our demo and rental bikes. We're building that back up. It's not perfect, but we do have quite a few to rent and go have fun.
Good.
I was one of those people that bought a bike during that time frame, and this is when you guys were kind of doing appointment only and stuff. And I remember you telling me how lucky I was to find the bike that I was looking for at that time, because the inventory was, I mean, it was months behind.
We normally have somewhere around 250 to 300 bikes, and we were below 50 bikes in our store.
I bought a lot of bikes from First Flight over the years.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
We had the benefit of doing a tourism promotion with Visit North Carolina to promote bicycling in the greater Statesville area, and Wes came in on his vacation to do that with us, which we really, really appreciated. Definitely has a passion for bicycling. But I say that because during that process, I got to ride an electric bike, and I almost felt like I was cheating, but I really liked it.
It's not cheating as long as you're having fun.
Right. I had a lot of fun.
I remember the first time I got on an electric bike. It's like that first pedal stroke, and your smile. You're just like, oh man, this is great. This is great.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. They're so fun.
Well, and I've seen videos of where, you think about electric bikes as being sort of a commuter thing and stuff, but then I've seen some videos of where really now, electric mountain bikes and things like that, they're getting people back into remote areas that they couldn't do on a standard bike anymore. Just that pedal, that extra pedal support is what helps them get out further.
Yeah, whether it's an aging cyclist that just can't go as far as they used to, they just really can't stand the fact that they're not able to do what they used to be able to do. That's great. But then also for people that aren't just diehard cyclists that want to go further than just a couple miles, it just aids them and allows them to go further and have more fun.
Very cool.
Let's talk about gravel for a minute. And I hope I'm not going to say this wrong, right? Gravel is out when you go out to Love Valley.
That is one of the places that we ride a lot.
A lot of gravel, which makes me want to ask you about the Love Valley Roubaix. So you are very involved in putting on a cycling event.
Yep.
So let's talk about that.
So first off, you did say Roubaix correctly.
You taught me well.
Most people say Roubaix or Roubarou or something like that. But yeah, with the Love Valley Roubaix, it is a mixed gravel and tarmac or pavement event. There's over 50% of it is gravel. We started that event in 2013 with one of my friends, Cameron Frazier, who had a racing company at that point in time. I was riding up in that area a lot and told him how great it was. So from there, he created the Love Valley Roubaix. I partnered with him, and I think it was 2017, he stopped doing a lot of the events. One of our friends took over the Roubaix for a year, and then he did not want to do it in 2018. So we took it over and just made it our own. We get to dictate all sorts of fun stuff. But from there, it was always a one-day event. So it was just Sunday. And while we had great crowds, the thing was, it's like, well, what can we do to expand it and make it bigger and better? So my idea was to have multiple days. That's it, and it just keeps people in our area. So from there, we originally started as a 2-day. That unfortunately got hampered by COVID pretty quick. But during that, it gave me a lot of time to think even more, and we've actually expanded it to 3 days. So we've made it even harder. But that's the weird thing about cyclists is we like hard. The harder it is, the more enticing that it can be. You're out and glutton for punishment. But from there, the great thing is that there's just, as I said earlier, there's just so much beautiful countryside and places that you just normally wouldn't go. And that's what Love Valley Roubaix allows a lot of people from out of town to come see.
Yeah, the pictures that you post on your social media channels when you do some of these back roads rides are just and you do it the way you get the sunsets and the sunrises, and they really are beautiful. But the Love Valley Roubaix, which I love because I'm charged with having people stay longer in Statesville and stay in our hotels, and those multi-day events do that. So we want 5 days of bicycling would be even, but more maybe bike riding events. But tell us, when is the next Roubaix and how people can get involved in that?
That's to be determined.
Oh, is it to be determined?
Our
Okay.
normal weekend is typically the third weekend in March.
Okay.
And just through the calendar, that falls on Easter weekend next year. So we will not be doing it on Easter weekend. So from there, I have to decide whether I'm going to do it a little earlier, a little later, or change something pretty dramatically. I've got some ideas working with a couple other folks, but I just have to figure that part out.
Well, that's life.
It'll happen next year. If anybody has questions on it or would like to be involved one way or the other, just contact me at the shop would be the best way.
Well, and once you set the date, we'll have you back on Discover Statesville so we can tell people specifically about that event and how they can get involved.
Definitely.
I know this isn't your event, but it's another bicycling event that I think is really cool that Purple Heart Homes partners with Southern Distilling to do. And the reason I feel comfortable asking you about it is because you took home you won, right? The last year, but it's called Take That Hill.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that started 3 years ago. And I participated in the first event. I wasn't able to participate in the second. And last year they changed the format just a little bit to start it out at Southern Distilling. But it's a great fundraiser for Purple Heart Homes. It's a lot of good riding. We go out into Barrett Mountain area out in Taylorsville, really, really hard hill. You ride up it as fast as you potentially can. And out of the two longer distance routes last year, the 60-miler, I just happened to be the fastest person up the hill that year. So
good for you, man. That's awesome.
I was excited about that. It always feels good to be fast.
Sure, absolutely.
I had a good day.
Tell us a little bit about, we talked about the map. Tell us a little bit about the mountain biking areas here in town and in the greater Statesville area.
Yeah, so just in general, downtown Statesville area or greater Statesville area, we have two wonderful trails at Signal Hill, which has been around for a long time. It was mid-90s when Signal Hill was built. 2016, we built Big Leaf Slopes outside Twin Oaks Golf Course. Great little trail with the county. There's both of them are somewhere around 4 miles each, but great local community trails, both hikeable as well, but of course, I want to ride them.
Sure.
From there, town of Mooresville has Mazeppa Park down at Mazeppa Park with all their baseball fields, soccer fields. It's a wonderful 5-mile trail that I think they're expanding right now. And then the big crown jewel for Iredell County is Lake Norman State Park, which has 30 miles of trail. It's a very big destination trail for people throughout the area. So wonderful, wonderful trail.
One of the coolest things, and I can't speak necessarily to Mooresville or the Lake Norman State Park, but one of the coolest things I think about our two local trails right here in town is that those are pretty much volunteer-driven efforts.
Yeah, virtually all of them. The town of Mooresville did pay to have their trail built. Lake Norman was built, majority of it was built volunteer base, but there was some paid work done in the later years once we got grants and everything. But Signal Hill and Big Leaf are truly volunteer. There's still volunteers every day at all those trails. I know Mark's out at Signal Hill this week clearing out trees from the windstorm. He came in the shop yesterday and we talked about that a lot. There's a lot of trees down, and all the trails have trees down, right? But they don't clear themselves. So if somebody doesn't go out there and fix them, then people can't ride. So,
which I think is that speaks to the mountain bike community, and I think that's so cool. Is that their desire to have these nice things in town, and the people will step up and say, well, we'll make it happen, and then maintain it.
Yeah, there's a lot of selfless people.
Sure,
there's a lot of hours given just because they really enjoy it, but that's also the fun thing is the trail work in itself is a lot of fun. So not only there's a very big prideful moment that when you go out and you fix something and then you get to go ride, it's like, oh man, I did a good job.
I did that.
Or you get to no, you suck. You did a really bad job of this. You got to go fix it again.
Sure.
That's also a part of it, but it's a really fun learning process.
And I assume you guys are also, First Flight is probably also a good hub if people are interested in learning how to volunteer for trail work days and things like that, probably contacting you guys, and then you can put them in touch with maybe who that point of contact is for the different trails and opportunities.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay. We love doing that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of volunteerism and selflessness, so I learned recently, I didn't know, but I learned recently that you were a critical, that your involvement in Big Leaf Slopes is one of the main reasons we have that trail here in this area. So tell us a little bit about your passion for that and how that got started. Like, because I know, and it didn't stop with that. You're very involved in making sure that this community is a destination for bicycling, and that's all volunteer and passion. So tell us about that a little bit.
So Big Leaf came about because we were building the trails at Lake Norman State Park. Jeff, who founded First Flight Bicycles, was the spearhead of Lake Norman State Park, but it's all the way down in Troutman. And we already had Signal Hill. There was a lot of people working on Signal Hill, but it's a tough trail to maintain. Just wanted more trail. And fortunately, I was able to, at that point, find more land that was potentially available. So went through all the normal processes, working with the County Parks and Rec Advisory Committee, then going to the commissioners, getting approval to build the land, showing that we knew what we were doing, working with the Tar Heel Trailblazers out of Charlotte, that we built a lot of trails with. And yeah, we just, you go out and you walk the land a lot of times and you learn it, and just, you see, you can just start to envision. It's a really interesting process.
Yeah. And you chaired that committee, right, with the county for eight years?
I was on the board for 9 years total. And yeah, I was not on the board when I got all that approval, but going through that process and seeing that board and what they did was really interesting. But then, and that's another part about just volunteering for anything, is just, as I got on that board, I thought mostly it was going to be about soccer fields and baseball fields. But every master plan that the city does or the county does, the number one and number two thing that folks ask for is open spaces, green spaces, and trails. And that
is absolutely true.
Yes, 100%.
Richard knows that.
Oh,
well, and so I think, to Wes's point, these are the things that have been done over the years, but there's still more to come.
Yep.
Wes and I met a couple weeks ago to talk about a piece of property and start thinking about, brainstorming. Well, what could this be? What kind of trail could be built here? And so, I mean, these things are still on the radar for the biking community and certainly for the city and the county as well. I mean, we want to give people what they want.
Yeah.
And that's trails and greenways.
It's a big margin of what people want.
Sure.
And it's a great thing.
Yeah.
And it's usually put in places that you can't build anything else. So that's the other part of it. Most greenways and paths are built in floodplains where you can't build anything else. Most mountain bike trails are built in areas that have a lot of terrain that you can't
landfills.
There's one of those.
And we're blessed with all of those in the greater Statesville area. But look
It's a fun
at
place
the
to
amazing,
dig.
look at the amazing things that have come from that. And we're running short on time, but I do want to make sure to mention one of the things in every episode, thankfully so far and hopefully moving forward, is that we've been able to recognize the servant leader and everybody that we've spoken to and speak to, that is truly the people of Statesville, North Carolina, that make it the amazing place that it is, and that includes you. So
Yeah, thank you.
for our listeners, Wes was most recently the board chairman of our Downtown Statesville Development Corporation, and when we saw the amazing things he was doing with bicycling and things that could impact tourism, we bugged him until he agreed to be on the Statesville Convention and Visitors Bureau board. So we're really excited to have you on that board. Thank you for volunteering your time, because that's what it is. It's selfless giving of your time for people to be on these boards.
And I think recognized recently at the tourism summit, right?
Right. For he got our visionary award, and so
Very honored.
very well deserved. And we look forward to seeing what's next out of First Flight Bicycles and Wes. So
So if you don't have a bike, go see Wes about a bike. If you have a bike, knock the dust off, take it in. Maybe it needs to be serviced.
Get it repaired.
If you just want to go talk about what's in the area, come grab a beer.
Yep.
Check out the map system.
Yeah. There's all sorts of
one-stop
fun
shop
things.
for getting outside.
100%.
You definitely need to check out if you have not checked out the map system that's painted beautifully on the walls. You need to go check that out. Or you can go to Things to Do on Discover Statesville and hit Bike Statesville, and it'll take you to all things the map system for First Flight Bicycles, because Wes built something that most communities would love to have and wouldn't even know where to start. So thank you. And
Thank you.
thank you for being with us today.
It was an honor.
Yeah. So if you know of anybody that you think would be perfect for our Discover Statesville show, we encourage you to go to statesvillenc.com, hit the Contact Us button, and send us their information or your information. And be sure while you're there to check out all the fun things there are to do here in Statesville, North Carolina. Thanks, Wes. Thanks, Richard.
Yeah, thank you.
both
See you
for
next
having
week.
me.
Thank you for joining Discover Statesville. You can email us at discover@statesvillenc.com. Check us out on Facebook at Discover Statesville NC, #Discover Statesville, and our website, statesvillenc.com. Catch us next week as we continue on our journey to uncover the hidden gems, culinary adventures, entertainment, and to be inspired and enlightened as we discover Statesville.